absolutely an honor. And we are live. Cannot believe this is happening. Still freaking out a little bit. For everybody out in recorded land watching this after the live itself, I am Jason Greenberg. I'm a content creator and a devout disciple in the Temple of Screaming. And I am joined today by Her Majesty herself, Melissa Cross of the Zen of Screaming.
No pressure.
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. You have no pressure at all. I've only absolutely lived by your word for many years now, and happily at that.
My good. Oh, happily. I'm glad I didn't screw you up.
No. That was long before you came into my life. I was broken.
I have to feel okay about it.
Exactly. So for everybody rolling in, thank you very much for joining us here on Bucketlist Entertainment as we do yet another Q&A with just this fantastic individual. I'm going to try not to fangirl too hard. For everybody that's coming in and that wants to ask questions of their own, it is going to happen. I have a list that I'm going to go through myself. It will be painless. It will be quick. And once we get there, we will start screening questions for the Queen of Scream. To get it started with bated breath, how are you today?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my!
I try not to ask that too much. I just go. I just go.
Oh yeah. I mean, the world's on fire. Who needs to know why we're okay?
yeah. Like, so, you know, what difference does it make how I am? I'm in touch with my feelings, though. I can tell you I'm in touch with my feelings. I just can't describe them, but I'm very much in them.
You don't speak the same language. That's all. You know, for those that do know, Melissa Cross here is the proprietor of what we all know and love as the Zen of Screaming, known best for the ideology of live in the now, live in the here, live in the now, and do everything in this moment. Separate from the emotion, separate from the preconceived notions, and just fucking do it. And I love it.
Wow, you really get it. Like a lot of people don't get that. That is really what I'm about. But you'd be surprised. I would love to be the queen of that, the queen of now instead of the queen of scream. I mean, really, you know, it's called the Zen of Screaming, not because I'm a Buddhist, but because I don't believe that anything is relevant except what's happening right now, and then right now, and then right now, and then again right now, you know, get it? So I try to use singing, screaming as kind of like the vehicle for that, because it kind of works for everything, but particularly it works for performance. Because if it's not right now and it's not what you're feeling right now, then it's not real. So there.
There. I'm a man of insurmountable levels of anxiety. So that idea definitely very much helped this little demon and his screaming and his love for heavy music. Before we get into histories and things like that, and explaining exactly what it is you do for people that don't know, or just going deeper into the story that for people that do want to know. I gotta know, what are you listening to right now? What's going on in your ears? Well,
let's see. It depends on what day it is, because if it's a day of teaching, there's a lot of NPR. Okay.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of talk because I can get saturated with music sometimes, but on the day that I'm just chilling, I am listening to, I like anything good, but in the car, I tend to listen to Octane or Liquid Metal. Okay. And so I'm listening to like Gojira a lot right now. Gojira, I really love that Amazonia thing that they did, and then the new one. But what's really great is that sometimes I have the coolest job, because sometimes my clients say, I just finished the record. I want you to hear it. And it's not going to come out for 3 months, and I get to hear it first. That is so cool, because I used to be the kid at the club that wasn't on the guest list, that couldn't get into the club because I wasn't cool enough. And now people call me and want to play their record for me. Are you kidding me? That's such a gift. See, I'm a fangirl too, but, Yeah, I've been hearing some really awesome new releases to be released by Times of Grace, which is
Whoa.
Jesse Leach's side project with Adam from Kill Switch Engage. Yesterday, my client released a single and didn't tell me, and it's this amazing Volbeat single called Wait a Minute, which is the summer banger of the century because it's such a summer song. You know, remember those when I was really young, there was always a record that like kind of shoots you into the summer for, you know, no school, beach, you know, vacation. So this new Volbeat single, I think it came out like a week ago or 6 days ago. Oh my God. It's such a summer banger. So check it out. It's called Wait a Minute.
Absolutely going to, purely based on your word alone. So obviously the entire world is on fire right now. And I hate talking about COVID stuff. But you working in a very interesting little section of what we know as the entertainment industry, I do got to ask, how has COVID treated you particularly in what you do?
I don't know about COVID, but the powers that be, or the power that bees, or whatever it is, I don't have a name for it, but I was certainly blessed because a lot of my colleagues were really devastated by COVID because singing is a super spreader. I mean, singing was out of the question. So a lot of teachers that didn't understand Zoom or never had to deal with Zoom were pretty much out of luck. I, however, was very lucky to have started my Zoom business a year before pandemic. And my Zoom business started because I was frustrated that, first of all, there's not a DVD slot in Max anymore. Nobody that I know plays DVDs anymore. It's all streaming. So I thought, okay, like I got to update this baby. So instead of
very upsetting for me too, I just want to add. Sorry for the interruption. Please continue.
That's okay. But you know, Jason, I want you to come and get the third DVD, and it's not a DVD. Yeah. What it is that you get access to me. Like it's online classes. And I try to work with anybody and everybody that needs assistance. The thing about my lessons is that they got really expensive, and it was no fault of my own. I just don't have the time to teach all the people that want lessons. And yet I was one of those people that couldn't afford the kind of lessons that I'm teaching. And I was in a kind of a quandary about that because I just felt like I, you know, like the George Bush of metal, like Metallica, like completely just separated from the core of the genre, which is folks. So I made these classes and I teach everything I know, everything that I insist that all my clients know. I teach it in a class. It's 13 hours of class, and it's for the price of 1.5 private lessons. It's pretty cheap. So it's less than like $19 an hour, right? So you can get it at melissacross.com, but it's up to date and it's personalized because I, you know, I address everybody's problems. Yeah. So that was good. I put that together not only because I lost touch with the peeps, with the people that really need it, so we can keep this thing going, because I believe in the solidarity of the genre. I do. It changes lives. It changes the world. See, I'm a 60s kid. So anyway, it was not only that, but my mother got very sick and I had to go and make sure that she was taken care of, and I had some difficulties with that. So I had a business that I could go to her in Texas, and I got to spend the last 8 months with her. So it was, you know, like the powers that be kind of made it all work out for me. So that's,
I mean, luck seems to be on your side that way. But
lucky.
Of course, you can't call it all luck though, because a huge amount of it is just this seemingly endless pool of knowledge that you've got in that dome of yours. I'm actually, like, in preparation for this, I'm rewatching part 2 just to kind of reacquaint myself with it and have you in my living room again and just, you know, get into the mindset.
I know so much more than I knew when I made that DVD. You have no idea. I've been studying voice science. I mean, religiously. I still study voice science with a, you know, a speech doctorate. You know, it's not even a singing person. It's a, you know, the speech people, they've got it down. The singing teachers, full of doo-doo. Oh, full of doo-doo. But I, you know, I was full of doo-doo. I don't think I said anything wrong in those DVDs. I didn't say anything wrong, but I left out some things that might be, you know, helpful if you learn them. So ask me. I can't wait to tell you.
It's happening. You will see me in a class. That is very much, you know.
Oh, I'm going to make sure you're in a class. I'm going to give you the keys to the class tonight.
I promised myself I wouldn't cry. All right. So
belated birthday present.
Oh, so just to quickly, very quickly go through it. This all came together because of a very generous act of a relative of mine that is actually in the room with us tonight.
Oh, cool.
Yes, and I'm still completely baffled that this is happening. And one really shining part of my conversation with you when we first spoke was the fact that you didn't seem to like hearing that somebody was like necessarily a fan of yours. And I understand that because the way you explained it rung so clearly. We're all in this together. It's a communal thing for you. You don't necessarily like to be on a higher pedestal than one or the other, even though I'm sorry, too bad. There's nothing we can do about that. But it's really like a beautiful way that you connect yourself with the people whose lives you truly, honestly do touch, not just mine or all of our favorite musicians in the fucking world. And so to hear you to hear you not only talk about reconnecting with your students and being back in the classroom again, but to hear it in conjunction with what you told me yourself a month ago, it's all on brand, and I love it. There is no layers with Melissa Cross. She is who she is. She is in the now, and we're going to move forward.
What you get is what you see.
And I love it. I really do. So I obviously know the story because I am quite a devout disciple. There we go. I almost got twisted on my words there. Almost found myself doing my enunciation exercises again.
Does everybody know about your belly?
So anybody that knows me personally, yes.
Does the public know about this?
For the most part, yes. I'm not one to expose myself, but there is a level with which I adore the Zen of Screaming and how it has touched my life and how it has touched the thing that I love to do most. And fuck it, we're live. I got your logo tattooed on my skin. Not because I myself am a Buddhist, but because I just really, you know, it really changed my life. It honestly did.
I was so blown away by that. I was like, okay, I'll do whatever you want. I'll do whatever you say. Like if I have someone who's that like devoted, I was just so amazed that I was like, okay, I'll be your slave. I'll do whatever you want.
No, quite the opposite. I'm still praying to the altar here.
Flattery gets you everywhere, dude. I'm like a total narcissist, okay?
But no, I remember, I personally remember when the Zen of Screaming came into my life, and it has been a part of my life every minute ever since. Every time I touch a microphone, your voice hits my ears first. I throw in my headphones, I do my baritone warm-ups, and you know, on to this expensive little thing we go.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome.
So, well, we will move it along because again, this isn't about me. This is about you. I do know the story, but of course, for those that don't, how did it all come together to you? You know, obviously, we can start from the classical training if you want.
Oh my God. Okay, so like when I was 4, I was clearly wanting to be a performer. There was no doubt about it. I made a play out of a Christmas story called The Littlest Angel. I was the director. I was the lead. I was the casting director. I did everything. I got my mother to make the little halos. You know, I bossed everybody around. So clearly there was something going on that wasn't going to be squelched very easily. So, you know, by the time I'm 6, I'm, you know, we had an organ, so I was playing the organ, and my feet couldn't reach the pedals. So I said, Mom, can I have a piano? They bought me a piano, and then I saw the ballet, and I wanted to be the best ballerina in the world. So I started studying ballet, and I just got into the discipline of the arts. My mother was such an amazing lady, and she got me lessons, like not just like a frou-frou ballet class with pink tutus. I had a Martha Graham dancer as a teacher. Yeah, like my mother didn't mess around. And I had like the best children's theater program. You know, I was just, arts and education was my mother really believed in it, and she gave it to me. And that's, you know, that's my mom. And I kind of pay that forward as well. I'm very into arts and education, especially younger people. But anyway, moving right along, the 60s happened. Right? And Janice was my hero. Janice. And so I said, I have to be a singer. I must be a singer, because I wanted to be her. And they said, well, you must learn how to sing properly. My dad was Brit, by the way. So you must learn to sing properly. So I got singing lessons, and that's how I got into classical singing, because the only lessons that were available at that time were classical singing lessons. That became my definition of singing. So by the time I was in acting school in the UK, because, you know, I was too fat to be a ballerina, but they didn't put it that way. My arms were too short. My legs were too short, but I was devastated at the age of 12, and I refused to be, you know, stopped. And I said, okay, I'll be the best actress in the world. And I ended up at the Old Vic Theatre School in the UK, and I graduated from there, but I had a very sort of dual identity, because I was already playing guitar and writing my songs. I was stimulated and inspired by Joni Mitchell. Okay. And, you know, I learned to play the guitar because people got annoyed at me because I kept asking them to play so I could sing. So I said, okay, I have to learn. So I learned guitar, I played piano, started writing songs for, you know, guys that I was in love with, you know, like I'm ugly, but you know, that whole issue kind of thing. I realized that if you learn to sing and play guitar, people will love you no matter what you look like, right? And I felt like I was like the ugly duckling, so I felt like I'm on a mission. I can't be the cheerleader, but man, I can go down with Janice, right? So I was like totally, by the time I got out of acting school, well, what happened was in acting school, the guy came at the theater school, that there was a cabaret project, and this guy had written this musical, and the school was like, seniors were asked to like workshop the production. And when he gave me the song, I went, it's wonderful to feel away. And he goes, no. Don't do that. Don't put any stuff on it. Just sing the song. And I said, oh, okay. And I did it again. It's wonderful to feel. He says, no. Don't put any stuff on it. Just sing the song. And I was like, I am singing the song. I didn't know.
This is all I know.
This is what singing is. Like, what are you talking about? So he gave me a Karen Carpenter record. Ooh. And I imitated it because I'm a good mimic, right? And I did, it's wonderful to feel the way and it was like, I felt like a corpse. I felt like a dead person. And I felt like I was going to bomb so badly. And it was the end of the year production. And I was terrified. And I got a standing ovation. Wow. And I thought it was so bad. And I was like, really? Then, you know, fast forward, I'm in a rock band for most of my life. I'm in many rock bands because that's what, you know, I was a character actress at 20. And there's no parts back then for character actresses at 20. So I said, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to do my own show. I have my own show. This is my band, my show, my script. I'll just write the songs and boom. So that's what it became. And then there's a whole nother story. There's like, wait, I guess we got to wait for the book because it gets better.
There's a book.
Yeah, actually, my kid wants to write it. My kid wants to write he's interviewing me. So because I keep like surprising him with yet another chapter of like being on the road with blank and, you know, having, you know, discovered by blank, and then this happened and then that happened and blah, blah. You know, there's so many iconic moments that reflect the history of music because I'm a rock chick. I've been a rock chick since I was 7 years old. Yeah. And I'm like really old now. So my whole life has a backdrop of music. I was there for every minute of it. Every single minute, you know, every morph, you know, I was in the first punk band, you know, I was in the first, you know, in the 70s, like, yeah. So I have yeah, I could spend all night talking about what happened.
Please, I could spend all night listening.
Yeah, well, it's you know, it's a really interesting story. It really is. I find myself like feeling so grateful and so blessed that my life has been incredibly rich just because I did what I loved with a vengeance.
Yeah. And that's really is what it is. That's all it is. I can't believe I still have to continue asking questions. I didn't think I could fall in love with you more, and yet here we are. So it is a very well-known fact that it was Janis Joplin that completely fucking warped your world. And I do got to know, what was the first song? What crawled into your ears first with her?
Actually, it's a song called One Good Man, actually. It's a blues song. Yeah, it was on the Cosmic Blues album, like the first Janis, like it wasn't even called Janis Joplin. It was called the Cosmic Blues Band, right? That's what it was. Oh man, I was mesmerized by this lady because I could just feel the pain. I felt the pain, and I was just so blown away that she could express that without any reservation. I said, I have to do that. That is so heroic to me. And it looked chaotic, and it was chaotic, but I always loved the kind of paradox of organized chaos, which is why I think I loved rock and roll, because there's a sense of organization to it, but it's so in the now and so impromptu at the same time. So I like that, where anything can happen, but there's a kind of parameter of, you know, it's a concert or it's a record, but so many beautiful things happen within the organized moment. And I've always been kind of fascinated with that. So by the time I got into the punk band, that's when I started having trouble with the screaming thing. And I got a vocal injury singing one big blood curdling scream at CBGB's. It was CBGB's. It was 1983, right? I'm in a band at CBGB's, and I completely ripped my, one scream, and I got an injury called a polyp, and I was offered surgery, and I was scared of surgery because my voice was like, I don't want them cutting into my voice. So I did this speech therapy, and it was in learning the speech therapy that I realized kind of the bridge between classical singing and not classical singing. And that journey is what gave me the keys to the kind of sensory basis in which I teach voice. I don't teach sounds. I teach mechanics that have a feeling or a sensory kind of cliff note or buzzword. Yeah. So it's about, instead of listening to the sound of your voice and judging it and finding out whether it's okay or does it sound like the record, you're actually in the moment, like mobilizing the vibration in a non-judgmental, non-predestined way. So that experience of the injury is what gave me that. I had a gifted teacher, and the voice teaching world was slowly kind of moving towards this way of imparting the pedagogy, because there were people who were very forward thinking before me, like people in the theater, particularly like Lesak, and like he would have these kind of acting exercises. And, you know, I did a lot of acting school. I mean, I studied Shakespeare 4 years of acting school, and it's full time. You know, it's not like, a weekly class, right? It's like, 8:30 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, all that, that's all straight up Bristol Vic Theater School stuff. So the stuff that I teach, that basic spoken word discipline, is much easier to teach the mechanics, because it doesn't have the distraction of singing, genre, prettiness, all those adjectives. It's just basic, like doing the resonance strategies with the spoken word. So in the new classes, it's not required that you take the speak class first, but the people who take scream first fail. They fail because they didn't do speak. See, if you grab your speaking voice and you delineate the functions in that context, it all makes sense. It all makes sense, because it doesn't have like, voodoo, singing voodoo, right? It's just basic this, and once you get like your bearing, it's like amazing. It's so easy.
It is. It really is. The amount of times I've actually forwardly promoted your work and your bodies of work to people that don't have anything to do with music whatsoever, and just straight up tell them, like, take my DVD, listen to this section, listen to all of it. I'm going to tell you, listen to all of it, so that you'll understand it. You'll never make fun of me again. But listen to this section and do this every day for not even that long, and you will be speaking again just fine. People in all walks of life. The video game streaming world is exploding, and these are people that just scream their guts out all day, and I'm just sitting there like, what's that about? You getting a follow-up? Yeah, I know what that is. You know why? Because I've been doing that since long before you picked up the controller, fucker. I do that for the sense of creating rhythm and poetry and all of these things. So it's really incredible how versatile, like you say, just speech therapy itself can really fit into things. This is another thing that we could go on all night about, and I wish I could just continue to go on tangents, but I'm going to try and give the people what they want here. So this was actually something that I found out today, and I don't think it's a very well-known fact for everybody. But a part of the story of you becoming Melissa Cross of the Zen of Screaming was you discovering metal, and then a few weeks later, getting a call from from a schoolmate, if I'm not mistaken, asking you to come in and try to help this kid get through this record that he's trying to fucking record without blowing his voice out every day. Some people don't know that that's just so happens to be my favorite band in the fucking universe. That was Jesse Leach. And I first need to ask, was that in recording of the self-titled, or was that in recording of Alive or Just Breathing?
Oh, it was before they even had a record deal with Roadrunner.
Sakes.
This is when they
breaks my heart even more. So,
I think he was 17. Like, this is the guy that asked me to advise was someone who was recording them in his basement like this, and he was driving all these bands around to gigs. Like he had Hatebreed, he had Kill Switch, he had Shadows Fall,
he more than likely had Unearth on there.
Shia Lude. Something Chaos. There were many bands that he was. It's an interesting story because he is basically kind of the grandfather. He brought all those bands together with demos and drove them around to the shows. Basically, he was pretty much 86 because Roadrunner. It's a sort of a sad story because his idea was to create a kind of network or utopia with medical insurance and mortgages, and like the metal community was going to be like Morgan was kind of a hippie like that. Like we were both kind of hippies, and so he had this idea that he would sign their publishing. He got this big publishing deal with Bicycle Music, who had his publishing. He was a songwriter, and he just wanted to develop this kind of thing. And Roadrunner did not want anybody else having the publishing, so they basically excluded him from. It was very sad, but he was kind enough to let me use the music, because all the music that I used for the Zen of Screaming was donated by Morgan. And I appreciate that very much. The only thing that I had to pay for was Andrew WK, who was already a big star by then. So
yeah. So I actually have a hilarious story about Andrew that I will tell you after, so that we can continue on in the actual interview itself. What has it been like for you watching that first student in a basement studio become and go through this incredible journey that Killswitch has had to go through between the two changes and all of this? What has that experience been like for you to watch that one student really become the icon that he is now, at least in my opinion?
Well, I feel like a high school English teacher, because I had Jesse, and then Jesse, went on a tangent doing something else. And then Howard came once, and then Howard didn't really need to come more than once, because Howard was Howard. I mean, Howard, I was like, okay, go. Like, yeah,
you're good enough. Get out.
You get out. You don't need this. Like, if you need anything, call me. But it seems like I'm not going to reinvent the wheel here, because everything seems to be functioning pretty well. If you have any questions or anything, just call me. But he never needed to. And then Jesse coming back, and then going to see Jesse at a show and watching him kind of try to emulate Howard a little bit, because all the material had kind of transpired and he had to step in. I was like, whoop, 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 whoop. I saw he was hurting himself. He really was, because he was pushing into like Howard's timbre, which is not really his, that's not his sweet spot.
No,
so
not at all.
There were these some little bits of problems. And so I basically went backstage and I said, you're coming back to class. You don't even pay for it. You're coming back because you're going to kill yourself. You're killing yourself. And he said, okay. Right. And he came back to class, and it turns out he had definitely injured himself. So we walked through the surgery. We held hands together, through the surgery, and we put him back together. And man, wait until you hear this record, this Times of Grace record. Vocally, you've never heard this, Jesse. You've never heard this, Jesse.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, because now he knows how to do it. Now he really gets it. Like I didn't teach him. Like the first time I taught him, he was like 17. He didn't even ask the questions yet, So I'm glad that we got to reconnect, because it's a beautiful thing to see.
What I would have given to be a fly on the wall as you walk up to Jesse Leach and just say, okay, you and I are going to see each other next week, Monday, 9 o'clock.
Yes, you're coming. You're coming.
Yeah.
I'm not taking no for an answer. Yeah, but it was clear, like he was ripped to pieces. Yeah. I mean, it was like painful. Not that, the thing about Jesse is that there's no bells and whistles. What you get is what you get. There is no doubling, compression, tracks, ear candy. Everything is very real, very organic. So he was killing himself, because that's the kind of passion that he has. He didn't know how not to kill himself. So we had to like reorganize that, kill myself ethic.
Kill myself slower.
Yes.
In other things, not in
music. Yeah, exactly.
That's absolutely wild. And again, to be the person getting to sit here and have this conversation with you is fucking fantastic. I'm just going to let that one out and we're going to continue. So for those, again, that don't know, you have some of the wildest exercises. They really are like a thing to behold. And it honestly helps shed your inhibitions in going through some of your exercises, especially when you have to do them in public. I'll walk into alleyways and before a show, or I'll sit in the back room with all of these guys that don't give a flying fuck about any of it. And I'll do my thing because it's like, I feel like getting up and being able to do my job on the phone tomorrow. So shoo you.
Yeah.
What's one of the exercises that you put together yourself that even you had trouble putting together?
I don't ever have trouble putting together an exercise.
No, it all just came to you seamlessly?
Well, it's not. What happens is that usually the exercises happen in the shower.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm thinking in the shower about what it feels like. I have an idea of wanting to transmit a particular function of the voice. And so I will come up with something every day, like that's not singing like, but some kind of sound like, for instance, like, like that feels like that. So I would think to myself, okay, what do you do when you go, yee? And I go, oh, country western bar, yee, yee, right? So there's the sound, right? So I have the description because I've already decided that it's like, you know, you're in a kicker bar. And so basically the understanding of what that sound is the vocal ligament. It's the head voice, but without the vibrato, it sounds like a sound effect. It's not a singing noise, but it's the same noise as head voice. So if I go, yee, right? If I put vibrato with that, yee, it's yee, yeah, right? So it's the same.
Singing.
It becomes singing when you make it singing, but to understand it, what it feels like, not what it sounds like, what it feels like. If you go, yee, you kind of feel this buzzing in your head. Yeah. So then came, you know, my, above the pencil is something that I was taught. Above the pencil, as I was taught that by the speech person, right? But the country western sound, I made that up, right? But I'm not the first one to come up with that, because Arthur Lesak has exercises where he goes, please leave me, and you go for that buzzy E vowel. So, you know, the reason that E vowel is such a big popular vowel is because that vowel, E, has a big difference between the first and second resonance, right? Yeah. So there's a fundamental pitch. The first, you know, like the first, like the pitch. And then the first resonance is like, it's way far away from it. You can actually feel the duality or the dichotomy between the head and the chest with the E vowel, which is why it becomes like so important. So anyway, I'm getting too geeky. Sorry.
Oh, but, please, no, don't ever stop. Just.
It's important to know why the exercises are what they are. I know they're bizarre sounds, but it's so great I found it really so liberating to find out why. Yeah. Why do we use that? Why are you doing ah, not e? Why, you know, why don't you use ah? Well, I don't use ah because ah is a very closed vowel. Even though it seems like ah is open, actually, when you go there's kind of a constriction at the back. Yeah. So, but when you go, it feels like this giant cavern that goes from the bottom of your range to the top, back and forth. And that's the whole point of voice lessons, is to bridge those two functions, head voice and chest voice. So one is the ligament and the other was the muscle. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Geek.
Love it. It was everything that I live for. Is there a particular exercise of your cornucopia of them that you found your students having the hardest time adapting to?
Well, I believe the most important one, the one that people missed the most, is the French doorbell. Most people don't get that one.
I never get it the first time.
It's very difficult to get it because it is engaging the head voice on a low note.
Yeah.
So that is very hard to wrap your head around, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's the most, and what's really funny is that people have very interesting ways of doing that exercise. I remember there was this band named Aiden.
Oh God, yes. Emo Supreme.
Yeah, Will Francis came to me and said, I got to tell you a funny story. We were there were some kids backstage and they were going through the warm up. And when they got to French doorbell, they went, French doorbell. And they sounded like boneheads from Saturday Night Live. You know, like, we are from France, you know, and they kind of mixed like the Coneheads and the French. So anyway, there's some really interesting versions of the French doorbell, but that's a very nuanced thing where you go to a lower note in your range and it's so yeah. You feel like that head thing goes up into your, but it's very difficult to teach that to a group of varying capabilities, like people who have, well, some people find it like very difficult to understand. So that's the hardest one to get from the DVD. But the hardest one to get, even like all around, is Gia, Gia, Gia.
That's a tough one. I actually somehow forgot about it. Yes, that is a tough one.
Because each of the G's has to go into the other register, right? On purpose. So most people go, Gia, and then they go, Gia, Gia, Gia. Instead of Gia, Gia, Gia. You have to like go back and forth between the two positions. And so some people just think the notes and the vowel. They don't think about like what you're supposed to do with it. So it's kind of nuanced. Those nuanced ones are hard.
Oh, yeah, no, I have had trouble with Gia, Gia, Gia. The Migi Monkeys is actually one that I have a hard time with just because it's supposed to just be like a very simple note that you're kind of holding and continuing on with. And I always think I'm too flat. And I should probably, like, I didn't even write this one down, but fuck it. I am someone that was born with a hearing impairment. I actually wear hearing aids. So sound is me being a singer in a way is almost my defiance in the powers that be. Like, fuck you, I'm doing this anyway, kind of thing. Because by no means, you know,
you're a hero.
I'm always at odds with myself in the sense of like, am I hitting the right note? And that's where having an actual teacher really makes the world of a difference.
Interesting.
And really have somebody sitting in front of you and hitting the notes in front of you and being like, no, you didn't hit it there. You know, because
I'm telling you what that Migi Monkey exercise does, and I probably didn't mention it, but what I do is like body mapping. So a pitch is, you know how people think like the pitch is up there or the pitch is down there, and they have this like sort of geo-target kind of like spatial reasoning about where notes are, but vibrations don't have locations. Vibrations are vibrations. So what that exercise is supposed to do is body map the top of the note. So if the note is like a football, like a whole note on the step, right? Okay. So you have this whole note, and the top of the note is like that part of the egg that you cut off when you eat a soft-boiled egg. So you cut off the top of the circle.
Yeah.
And with the top of your skull is where you hear the top of the note. So as you progress with that exercise, you always sort of go to that placement of above the pencil to find the crescent of the pitch.
Okay.
And that keeps you in a kind of in a consistent place, because you're always consulting the oracle in the same way. Yeah. So for instance, if you have like the same note, but here's the note, but the bass player plays, but but you can stay in your element. So you go, you know, be, not be, right? Because you can body map it, and that's what it's for.
Okay. Oh.
And that's what we're going to do at our lesson when I teach you. I'm going to get you on that.
Okay, we're cool. We're cool. Good, I got this. Oh man, yeah, no. So, Miki's always been a hard one for me. French doorbell is an interesting one because French doorbell really, like, that's the one that bridges from, like, you're humming and you're doing some basic notes and you're doing all the stuff that you would normally do with a vocal coach to now we're going to start fucking you up. And you need to start traversing through 3 locations in your voice. You need to go from making a sound to making a note to making a deeper note to making like a full note. And I'm just kind of like, okay. And I always fuck it up on the first one. And then the second one, I get it. Like, it's there.
All right. Well,
there. I feel the buzzing in my ears, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yes,
yeah,
that's and everything should be in that place. Like, once you find that place, just put it all there. The low notes and the high notes, just put it in that, like a little blue light that lights up a little yarmulke. I call it the yarmulke note now. It's the electric yarmulke. It lights up when you get the pitch right.
Oh, Shabbat Shalom. Okay, I'm enjoying this too much. All right, I'm a serious interviewer. I'm good at my job, I think. You have worked with everybody that everybody could think of. You know what I mean? Like, people that people didn't even know got lessons from anyone. You've done it, and you've got their number on your phone, and it's just like, oh yeah. You know, I sent them a sweet little text message here and there. I did an interview last week with Brendan Saller of Atreyu, and I obviously, in my capacity as an interviewer, need to advertise as much as I can. So this week being you, I mentioned I'm going to be speaking with Melissa Cross next week. Tune in at Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He lit up like fucking Christmas. Truly. And I would be remiss if I did not very specifically relay a hello from him in the warmest of salutations as, you know, baptized is out in the world and everyone's getting it in their ears. You really do, you leave an impact on the people that you work with. But I gotta ask, is there anyone that you wish you could have worked with? Is there anybody still out there, even in the world today or past, that you wish you could have impacted the way that you've impacted everyone else in your life?
Oh, I don't know if I'd be that presumptuous to assume that I would, impact them. But there have been some.
That's my job. Really, I do the presuming.
I have had thoughts about that, and I can't remember who it was, but it has crossed my mind that I wish that I think it's not. It'll come back to me, right? I haven't thought about it for I had that moment where it's like, if somebody asks me who I want to teach, I must remember this one, and of course I forgot it. But it'll come back to me. It will. One of my favorite singers of all is a guy that from the 90s in a band called the Blue Nile, and his name is Buchanan.
It's from the 90s. I'm sure Liz is sitting in her chair right now, our Lord and Savior, and everyone, like the person who actually put this interview itself together, is probably sitting there going, I know exactly who it is, and just wants to like dive in to be like, oh no, this guy.
Well, anyway, it's a band called the Blue Nile, and he just has the most, like the most authentic sounding voice, like just so much emotion in it. Yeah, I wish I taught him. I can't. I'm sorry, I've gotten stumped on this because I did have somebody that I wanted to teach, but I can't remember who it is. But
that's fine. That's totally fine. Whenever it comes back, it comes back. Or Liz is going to look it up. She'll probably post it up on the screen at some point because she's on the ones and twos in the background. All praise the Lizard Queen. All right. Now, you do have truly a plethora of students. And one particular thing that crawled into my head today, if you could make a dream super group of anyone in your students, who would be in said super group and what would they be playing?
Oh, my God. Oh. That's
I know it's hard
really,
to pick favorites. You're going to hate me for this one, and I apologize in advance.
it's so hard because every vocalist I love the same, but for different reasons, you know, but they're all like, it's very hard to, you know, if I put that singer in, I'd have a different guitar player, right? If I had that singer, I'd use a different drummer, right? So, I mean, you know, you're talking about, you know, Brandon Saller. I mean, did you see Atreyu? Did you see the live broadcast? Did you see it?
The most recent one I have not, but I have been in my homework of last week. I was very much seeing how the transition was going of him taking over vocal. I got to say, I'm honestly impressed.
Did you see Porter start screaming?
Dude. It's an interesting transition.
Both of them, and you know, like the couple of years before that, I taught Alex. You know. Alex had to, you know, Alex wanted to sing. So they were kind of like, you know, becoming, that was my glasses, by the way. They were becoming, you know, wanting to like, you know, cross over jobs and become more, you know,
diverse,
varied in their presentation. And so it was just such I was so proud of them. I just couldn't believe how quickly they picked it up.
Yeah.
They picked it up so quickly. So I was like, you know, kudos. I've never, ever seen success. Like I feel so proud of that because but I'm also have to give them credit because they worked their ass off. They worked really hard and they practiced and they got it. But I've never seen that happen so quickly. When we're talking 6 months, 6 months, and they seemed like seasoned already. So, so you're talking about this super band, and I'm like, wow, okay. So,
live in the moment, Melissa. Right in the now.
So you know, I have many favorite vocalists. I do, and it's true. Like I love Randy for one reason, and I love Keith Buckley for another, and I love Corey Taylor for another, and I like, you know, Jonathan Davis is not my student, but I love Jonathan Davis's voice. You know, like I don't, you know, just have the people in my favorite group because they're my clients. I actually have respect for people that even aren't my clients. So let's see, what would I do? I would probably, that's really hard. This is so hard. Okay, so drummers, like I don't even, I mean, metal drummers are all so good. Like, how can you pick? They're all.
I'm trying not to break you here. Like, I'm so,
you know, like it's just like, no, this is really, these are really hard questions. They're very hard questions because I would have to write a song for that. You know, like I would have to, like, you know. It would be
your enthusiasm towards the idea of it being perfect is already more than enough. Like it's better than you just being like this guy, that guy. Fuck you, leave me alone.
Yeah. No, I would have to write a song, and it would be about, you know, let's see, I would write a song about addiction and recovery with, you know, Corey, I think.
Yeah.
With Randy, I would probably write a song about truth, you know, spiritual, you know, the spiritual journey towards what's real. I don't know.
It's
Next
tough.
question.
I'm okay with it. That being said, I'm that kind of asshole that I'm going to make you pick from your children some more. So I have a little section that I like to try to have fun with everybody that I interview, and where I create a fictional situation for you, and in which two bodies are in a fight to the death, and you got to tell me which one wins. And whatever your answer is, fine by me. If it's nobody wins, if it's everybody wins, I'm fine with it. I call it Battle of the Blank. And of course, for somebody with such a laundry list of students, I toiled over this. But I have got 3 heats of your students, and you got to tell me even if it isn't in a violent sense, who wins in a fight to the death?
Okay, have you already picked up the contestants?
Oh,
you
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
This is easily the part of my interviews that I spend the most time on, which is sad, and I really shouldn't.
I'm scared to death. I'm scared to death. Okay.
Oh, it's okay. Don't you worry. You're just going to get some angry phone calls tomorrow. We'll start with a particularly light one, not necessarily right in that, big, angry, heavy metal. Who would win in a fight to the death? Spencer Chamberlain of Under Oath or Ollie Sykes of Bring Me the Horizon? Such scrawny boys.
They will both lose.
Just double knockout.
No, just like super, like too scrawny. Like, they're not fighters. Not that they're like weak. They're not weak, but they're more. They are brilliant minds, and so they would definitely be a tie in terms of mentally, but physically they wouldn't even show up.
I could end it right there just in terms of satisfaction. Of your particularly very high profiled students, who would win in a fight to the death? Corey Taylor of Slipknot and Stone Sour and a great many other anything he can stick his voice in, or David Draymond of Disturbed?
Oh my God. All right. So both of them are sages. Okay. So what they would do is that they would like turn the fight into some cosmic riddle. So, so it would be some like cosmic, drawing a line in the sand and, making some kind of, requirement to step over it only if, if this, something very cosmic, and they would both win because you could do it both ways.
By their rules, everybody goes home happy.
Yes.
I love that. That turned into
everybody
Dungeons
goes home right.
Everybody
goes home right, because I think both of them are kind of on the same path. I think that honestly, David Draymond has been on quite a journey, but he's has much more of a not gifted, but a more fortunate life. Like things kind of went better in his childhood just because of his family unit, and just his culture is like so family related. But Corey Taylor was a burnt piece of toast by the time he was 18. Like he's had nothing to lose. So his is like, a little bit more raw and got more trauma in it. Although David Draymond has trauma for sure. But David Draymond is much more of a administrative genius also. Yeah. Like David Draymond had some corporate jobs, and he was like a hospital director for senior citizen, he's got the office thing, he's got the gift of the gab, and the Corey's like, hey, fuck it, like a demon.
I'll fight everybody.
Yeah, because Corey has like Corey has some demons. Got some demons.
Absolutely.
We all have demons.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Yeah, but they're both out of their demons. They don't have demons anymore because they're both parents.
That usually does it. Success in parenting.
Yes, parenting is a big game changer.
Absolutely. And I imagine any album yelling at your parents going like triple platinum would probably do it as well.
How about that, right?
There's only so much therapy you can do.
Oh my God. This is so funny. I saw a video. This is when his son, call him Bear, Sam, his kid he's running around the pool with a mic, and he's going, I said, yeah, I said, he's just gibbering and then going, it's doing like
so disarming. Yeah, okay, so that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years.
He's doing it down with the gibberish though, but he's doing like the same like rhythm of the words, but it's just gibberish, and he gets that. Ooh, yeah. So
but that's when Auntie Melissa comes in and goes, no, we do it this way, so we don't hurt ourselves.
I know. I just saw a picture of that boy. Whoa, what a lady killer he's going to be. Oh, my goodness.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
That's a little boy. Wow. And sweet, too. Sweet. It's a good man. Good little boy.
I adore that I'm getting the background of everybody's lives as we go through these things, too. I just want to put that out there. My very last heat, and then I have one last question, and then anybody that wants to ask questions, go for it. I can't believe we're coming to the end. I don't want it to end. But my very last heat, of course, fully representing the New England metalcore scene in all of its fine glory. Who wins in a fight to the death? Trevor Phipps of Unearth or Jesse Leach of Killswitch Engage? And Times of Grace.
Oh, wow. Those are beautiful people.
They really are.
Okay. So, those guys would, okay. So Jesse would go off into the mountains, right? And just
sneak peek before diving into this.
Jesse would not fight, Jesse would, actually offer a peace pipe, and say, let's go to the mountains and do some mushrooms or something. Like he wouldn't. And Trevor would say, no, I got to go home and pick my daughter up from preschool, right? So.
They're both such docile people, and that's why I needed to say it. Because on stage, these big angry monsters. But I've met Trevor a bunch of times now, and what a sweet dude! What a genuinely just sweet person that wants to sit there and listen to you talk.
So sweet, such beautiful. What a beautiful guy, and he got beautiful kids. Beautiful kids.
I can only imagine. I haven't seen his children yet, but I can only truly imagine. I would have thrown Adam D somewhere in there, but I feel like that might have been throwing it too far in terms of potential violence.
Well, Adam D is like a very interesting person and a genius.
Oh yeah,
and an absolute genius. He really is. I think he's going to come for lessons, and I'm just so excited about that because he's so deep. He's very.
I was going to ask off the camera, have you worked with him already before? So hearing that, I'm just kind of like, oh boy, what's going to happen?
Well, he's singing on the Times of Grace record.
Yes.
And the thing is that he has a great voice. And he's learned by exercises, by osmosis, because Jesse is religious about the exercises now. He is religious. He even posts on Instagram when he's doing the warm-up. It's so nice. He's very, very, very... I think that my most devoted students are Spencer Chamberlain and Jesse Leach right now, because they're always doing the warm-ups, always. They don't even off the road, they're still doing. And David Draymond is also like very, very conscientious. He has a room that's built backstage. It says vocal warm-up room, and it goes there at 6 p.m. every show. It's built as part of the rider. It's got a piano in it. It's got
really,
yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, now that's a level, that's a level that success gives you, being able to travel.
Oh yes, but those tours are very, very expensive, which is why I think it was a good idea for them to cancel it for now, because it's so unpredictable. And when you have all that, I mean, I know that Slipknot is like going to do it and everything, but those are like more like huge festivals. Like a tour is a little bit different than a festival.
Yeah.
And so I think that the tours, with all the pyro and stuff is so expensive that they cannot risk having half a house because they won't pay for the tickets. I mean,
No, it won't.
You know what's really, go ahead.
No, please, by all means.
No, I just think that it's very interesting. Like, you know, Rammstein, they split the ownership of the tour with the pyro people.
Yeah.
So they can afford to go ape shit with the pyro because the pyro company is in it with them. So the incentive is, you know, so I think that that's a very good model. But I think for a band to have to fork out the insurance and, you know, the money for the pyro and, you know, 5 trucks of, you know, equipment and 5 buses of crew, it's so expensive.
It's insane.
And what, you know, where's the money? Where is the money?
The pie is always
money for the artist.
Yeah.
There's the publishing money for the writer, but how many streams does it take to make $20?
Yeah. It's a sad world out there in terms of how a musician makes their money right now. I was actually, just as one last little point before we go into our last question, we have gone to an incredible length and I am still beaming over it. A point I've made a lot, and especially these interviews, sitting from my, you know, tiny shoebox living room, is that being somebody that also does a lot of physical work in the music industry, at least here in Montreal, Quebec, where I live, this was a pause and a break and a disconnect from our everyday lives as just the grunts who go 365 days a year that we were never going to get under any other circumstances. There was never going to be a period of time where we all had to stop. No more shows.
Wow.
So this has been, though it is truly a nightmare that all of this is happening. So many people have, you know, lost their ability to be able to make their money, or lost their homes, or lost family members, whatever it is. This is still a break for us here in the entertainment industry that was never going to happen. Somebody was always going to be touring. Somebody was always going to be doing a show, putting out an album, doing this, doing that. So it's kind of crazy how the industry that's been impacted the most by this is also the one that kind of, in a way, needed it. We needed a break. We needed a pause, you know, and it's crazy.
I think that those who know how to, you know, make lemonade out of lemons will fare very well. And those who don't will have some negativity that they have to deal with. We all, you know, the meaning of life is basically created by how you capitalize on misfortune. So that is unfortunate that, you know, it sucks and then you die, but it's not really that sucky because you get to learn stuff. And the only way you learn stuff is through obstacles or problems or conflicts. I do think that it's exposed the unfairness of the music industry. It's like, it is so egregious. This is worse than Colonel Parker. What's going on right now is worse than Elvis and Colonel Parker. It is so unfair.
Totally.
So unfair. And, you know, I manage a really good band. I don't manage them. I'm like a creative manager because I'm not really, I'm a voice teacher, but I'm also a writer and a creative producer, creative person. And I've been writing with them for, you know, good 10 years now. And I have, you know, just as they were starting to blow up, you know, this pandemic hit, and trying to work with them through not having a deal yet and trying to compete with the bands that do have a deal with the streaming thing. It is so unfair. It is stacked against you all the way.
100%.
The labels
100%.
have monopolized it 100% again.
Yeah.
Right. So, and now it's really bad because they've, you know, done a 360 kind of thing where they're actually cross collateralizing like the writing with the debt of the show, which is like, that used to be like, that was satanic when I was I used to work for Atlantic Records. I did.
Really?
Yes. In 1982 to 1986. I think I worked for Atlantic. At first, I worked for the lawyers for Atlantic, Warner Electric, WEA, Warner Electra Atlantic, and then after that, I worked for Atlantic, and it used to be where there was a real preservation of the separateness between publishing and, recording. They're separate contracts. And, I used to work in entertainment law. So I have a lot of lives that I've led. I've learned a lot. And right now what's going on is like highway robbery.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. And only artists are going to be able to change this. And it has to improve like the artist to fan connection. That is the only way that is going to cut this cord of this monopoly between corporate stuff. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. And I'm probably
there's got to be unity. Yeah. It can't be this dog eat dog world that it's always been amongst musicians anymore. We got to come together. We got to make something that makes sense for us with people that want it to make sense for us, that want us to be able to be sustained by our ability to make art and create something different. And that thing is not Spotify. It's not Apple Music. It's not Amazon Music. It's not any of these things. These things are all great and easily accessible, and they have ways to get you some pennies here and there. But like, holy fuck.
But the artist needs to own that. The artists need to own that.
Yeah.
Not aggregators like Orchard or Apple or, iTunes or Spotify. It's not, it's not right. It's not right.
It isn't. We got to start going at it like Ray Charles went at it. You know what I mean? Like, no, my music is going to be my music. I made it. So motherfucker, pay me. Sorry, huge tangent yet again. I hope people have seen some value out of that. I do have one last question, and then we're going to take some crowd questions, and then we're going to say goodnight. We here at Bucketlist Entertainment love to go for the cheap pop. But for fuck's sakes, I'm a living billboard at any given goddamn time. You have done truly so fucking much with your life and your career. What is left on the bucket list for you? What do you still need to, do you have anything that you still need to accomplish before you decide to kick the bucket?
Yeah, I'm an actress. That's my real deal. So I've always thought that I would, want to go back because I love Shakespeare. I love classical theater. So I would like to do, some acting, but before I'm too old to remember lines. So I kind of need to do it kind of quick. But I really like to do some interesting roles,
I feel like you just need to show up. Just be there. They'll take you for something. Like,
well, if anybody knows of a play that they're looking for,
bring it on, guys. This has been easily my favorite interview of the last 8 years that I have been doing these things at Bucketlist Entertainment. Almost 9 years, I think. With the mighty Liz Imperiali once again sitting in the background. For anybody that doesn't know, huge fucking thank you for her.
Thank you, Liz.
Putting all the emails together and everything like that.
Thank you, Liz.
We are going to take a couple of crowd questions if you're up for it.
Sure.
So anybody that's got a question, shoot them through. Can we hear the proper French doorbell technique?
Okay. So the French doorbell, first of all, you have to find the right pitch. Your pitch is distinct for you in terms of the voice type that you have. Mm-hmm. So this pitch, you can find out where this pitch is because it is the lowest note, not the highest note. So we're talking something that you would ordinarily think as low, although I like to get rid of all spatial reasoning about notes.
Of course.
I want you to go to the lowest place that you can feel nasal. So if I go clank, clank, it's like clank, like Franz Wrestler and the nanny, and that's awesome. Yeah, that's the first sound. But you want to go to the lowest note that you can feel it, that it happens above the pencil. This is a straw, but it goes this, pretend it's a pencil, right? So if I put a line here and I go, and still feel, and see, that feels like it's
hitting the floor.
It's usually, yeah, close enough, right? So it doesn't have to be exact, but the reason that this exercise exists is that place is the place that we don't want to go. We want to know that that place is the bottom of the bottom. That is the ocean floor. And so you never goes, it never scrapes any lower in the basement because when you get like this nice place that you can go, and you don't feel like you're scraping underneath there, but it's just right where the imaginary pencil would be. If it was in your teeth, I knew it. And that note is actually existing where the pencil is, right? All right. Yeah. So now that you know what that note is, and the trick is just to move to an E vowel, E as in eat, right? And that E vowel needs to be sort of projected imaginatively out the like 11 o'clock behind you. So it goes, so I did, and I didn't do anything with my face, right? Sometimes I demonstrated like clan dresser, but this squinching up the face is not good because I don't want you to associate it with any facial movement. It's just like, so if you're a lighter voice, you might be, if you're a male and you're a tenor, you're probably sort of around, but you know, Jace, it's like right here, right? So you got to find the sweet spot, right? When you find the sweet spot, it's about making that first, like a buzzer noise. And the second noise is an E. So I just did this kind of like flip up into this that E place without changing the note. So what I did was engage that whoop whoop thing on a low note, which is an advanced function, because most people don't know that you can go, they go, but I want, so you go, so you can go from the lower part of your range to the upper part of your range without breaking, without that. So that's the key to vocal training, is evening out those registers and making them feel like they're in the same place, which is what above the pencil is. You got to learn what that is first, though. So you got to learn the lingo before you learn the exercises.
This one.
Yes, that's in the first one. That's it. Right. So the exercise properly done in my sweet spot, I'm a mezzo, right? And so the third one is even rounder. Yeah. But there's a speaking warm-up that goes before that, and that same exercise happens in the speak warm-up, but it's called the Mickey Mouse Opera. But anyway, go ahead. It's getting geeky. Yes, because we're on the sweet spot for you. Yeah. For you, that's too low for me.
No, I usually do my Mickey Mouse in the shower, actually.
Yes, good. Yeah, in the morning.
Yeah, that's the first thing. Do my breathing in the shower, start to get my and then start to get that big full head.
Good. Oh, God, that's a very good head voice right there.
Thank you. Our next question, please, while I melt. What punk band? So this is from the very mighty queen herself. What punk band were you in, and can we find any music online?
Hopefully not. I bought all of them. No. Okay. So here's the deal. The first punk band that I was in, I named it BB Wamoto. Oh, no. Actually, I was in a punk band in California. It was called The Limit. And the Limit moved to New York. I moved to New York, and I started another band called Bibi Wamoto, which means woman of fire in Swahili. And Bibi Wamoto, the record, we made a record before I came to New York. I made a record at Shelter Records, which was Denny Cordell's, where Tom Petty and, you know, that studio was. Shelter was like Leon Russell, you know, Phoebe Snow. Like, anyway, I made a record there, but then moved to New York, and I still had the same demo, and it got picked up with this guy that managed Wham, who also managed the Yardbirds. And he took the band off the song and put like some kind of like Top of the Pops kind of orchestra on it. And I had, you know, they airbrushed my picture with red eyeshadow and like, you know, diamonds. And it was like this cross between Top of the Pops, and it wasn't like punk. It was like, he totally didn't get it. I guess he had some vision in mind, but he didn't tell me what it was. So it was kind of a fail. So I bought all of those, and you'll have to like stick around for the book to figure out what happened after that.
I will be in line with bated breath. Our next question, if we have one, let's find out. Oh, we definitely do. I think we do. Oh, no, that's more of a comment. All right. While people decide whether or not they have one more question for us or not, I want to thank everybody for sticking around for this incredible interview that we like sat through. It's insane. We do not have an official announcement for our interview for next week, but stay tuned. We do have something coming out. I'll take a quick pause. Mark Watson asks, what's the best way to stay in the loop about the book release?
Oh, okay. So I'm a big Instagram person, you know, like I'll be posting stuff. Like the next Instagram posts are probably going to be about the classes. So I got to tell you about that. There is a new class series that starts on July 11th. So on July 11th, and I do this 4 or 5 times a year, like Jason's going to be in the class. And basically it's Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. You can choose 1 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. Eastern, whatever you want. I do it live 2 times. And each class is an hour and a half, and it goes for 3 weeks. So it's 3 Sundays, 3 Mondays, and 3 Tuesdays. Sundays is speak, Mondays is sing, and Tuesdays is scream. Don't do scream first. You fail. You will fail. You will fail. So do speak, then do sing. And if you don't want to sing, okay, then don't do sing, but don't skip speak, because speak is where the gold is. That's
do sing. Do sing. Come on. Get it in you.
Sing. But you know, like some people say, I don't want to do anything melodic, but that's fine. That's fine. You can skip sing if you have to, but don't skip speak. And I will, if you can't do it this July, it's okay. I'll probably do it in September and maybe November. But Jace, you're coming in July. And if you
fucking bells on.
If you cannot make it physically, right, the recordings are included, right? So if you can't make class, the recording is, you get a password and a link, and you can stream the recording forever. So that's what you'll be hearing about on Instagram next. The book, well, it's about my son. My son wants to write it. So he's, I think we're up to like age 15 now. So we have a little while to go.
All right. Awesome. This has been truly an out-of-body experience, to say the least. Once again, thank everybody for coming out. Keep in touch for our next interview. We are in the works for what might come out next week. Stay tuned. And otherwise, if you want to watch this interview again, or if you want to share it with your friends, it is recorded, and it's going to be up not only on our YouTube, but as well as all of our other socials, very specifically on our YouTube at Bucketlist TV, on right here, our Facebook at Bucketlist Entertainment, Bucketlist ENT on Facebook, Bucketlist Entertainment on Twitter, all of the places. Please stay tuned. We have so much cool shit coming. We have a little bit of a break coming after that, but we have so much more cool shit coming after that, because we're never going to die. It's what we do. Once again, thank you, Melissa, for coming out. This has been
Thank you so much.
phenomenal.
Can I have permission to like put your belly on my
You can put the entirety of my body whatever the fuck you want. I am just
yes. All right, awesome. Okay.
I will be your Michelangelo's David. I do not care.
I'm gonna see you in class. Okay, I'll send you the details.
Do stick around. We are going to go offline. We're going to say some proper goodbyes to each other. But for everybody else, thank you again for coming out. A huge thank you to Liz Imperiali for putting all of the work in to make this happen.
Thank you, Liz. I love you.
An even bigger thank you to Mark Watson for even just sending out the first email as a means to get a picture. Everybody, have a fantastic night. Stick around. We hope to see you guys again soon. I'm tripping on my words.